Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk Assassin's Creed, your number one podcast for all things Assassin's Creed. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the free content available in Valhalla and how it can be improved, but also set a tone for future games. Now, we know the future games has come to light as AC Infinity, which is still up on the air, but I think it'd be good to talk about how that game and more games could add free content. But I am not alone in this episode. I am joined by Michael from Twitter.
Hello.
Thank you for reaching out and joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
See, this is what I tell everybody every episode. If you want on, just ask. Really, I'm one of these people that's like, if you want to, I'll find somewhere in my diary to fit you in.
Yeah, I saw you put that post out about if anybody wanted to come on and talk, and I felt like I had, with me wrapping up my playthrough of Valhalla, I was ready to start discussing things.
It's really cool. I think when I started in this project, I never really realised I could do these sort of podcasts because my setup was so crap. I will admit, 2019 it was a mobile and a gaming headset, but when I got a lot of help on how to improve it, and I just thought, let's just get anybody that loves AC on board. If doesn't matter if you're a YouTuber or some guy who's just picked up Valhalla on Christmas sales and want to scream how good it is, give me a message. I'll scream how good it is as well.
It's a good way to because a lot of the times that conversation can be very good, especially when you're talking with passionate fans, because yes, you could take the time and do your research and have your point counterpoint kind of conversation, but sometimes just listening, like what you guys had last week, listening to just a group of people talk about something, made me excited about it, made me excited about some other games, but that's the kind of thing that I enjoy about your podcast in the community.
I think some of the fun parts of this podcast is a friend, well, I wouldn't say a friend, a listener reached out when I first started and said, you need to take out some of the tangents. And I started to realise, let's not. It's so hilarious to see how my shows just derail.
Mm-hmm.
It's like stick to topic. Last week, I can't believe the whole show derailed into a Mass Effect talk.
Mm-hmm.
And look, we're on a tangent already. 2 minutes in and we haven't even touched Assassin's Creed. Welcome to my podcast. Nothing goes right. So, free content. Let's get on track.
Yes.
How are you finding the free content of Valhalla compared to Odyssey? Because technically Odyssey had the best post-launch prior to Valhalla.
Mm-hmm. So, for me, I played Odyssey in its entirety in January of this year. So everything was already available to me. Free content, paid content. I had the season pass, the gold edition. I had everything already at my disposal. So what was free and what wasn't, I'm unaware of. But I can speak to Valhalla because I have, even though I started extremely late, because I don't think I started Valhalla until March, and I finished about a week or two ago. Maybe even a couple days ago. I take that back. I finished the main story about a week or two ago, and then I finished all of the current released content, the mastery challenges, the river raids, and then of course DLC 1, Wrath of the Druids, and of course going after a couple of the bonus armaments and weapons and stuff that had been released, here and there. I've enjoyed the free content with all of the games, because I know even with games like Odyssey, I log into my my Ubisoft Connect or Ubi Connect, whatever the platform is called currently, and right away I'm presented with all of these gifts that used to be rewards for completing your challenges and getting your experience. And then, of course, just seeing those announcements, hey, we're going to give you Altair's outfit. Hey, we're going to give you this axe if you sign in and play the mastery challenge. That nice little ice axe that's just completely covered. I ended up giving it to my Jomsviking to carry around on my river raids. But I've enjoyed it so far because I feel like it's kept me going an extra, I think it was like an extra 60 hours of gameplay, just doing all of that free content after finishing the game with my playthrough with everything was I think about 160 hours.
160. I'm only on 130. So looking at the post-launch for Odyssey,
Hmm.
I totally forgot I had this stored in my computer for some magic reason. Uh, we had Lost Tales of Greece over the years, which is singular DLC missions. We had Epic Mercenaries, and Epic Ships weekly,
Hmm.
and daily had the Chest of Olympians from I forgot his name, and then we had the DLC that was split into three parts.
Right.
So episode one, two, three. But looking at this and then comparing it to Valhalla, I think Valhalla has a similar strength because we've both got two DLCs on the way, which is Druids and then Siege of Paris.
Right.
Instead of Lost Tales of Greece, which are single DLC missions, we have River Raids,
Hmm.
the Mastery Challenge, and then we had the Christmas event and Easter event. And we do have a chest system from Reddit with weekly bounties. So it seems Odyssey and Valhalla are on par, but Odyssey ended after 1 year,
Hmm.
and
And we're going
Valhalla,
into the second year, yeah.
which is kind of cool, but we are missing an Assassin's Creed game. Now, by that I mean season pass owners of Odyssey got Assassin's Creed 3 remastered.
Right.
We didn't get anything. So, do you think the lack of a joint game on the season pass is making this season not as strong as Odyssey, or do you think it doesn't really matter?
I would say no, because normally with those, because Ubisoft did the same thing with Far Cry. If you pre-order or if you got the season pass for Far Cry 5, you got the remaster of coincidentally Far Cry 3. So I guess 3 is the favorite for those bonus games. And I've purchased both season passes and got that bonus game, even though I already have a physical copy of that as well. Anyways, I don't see that as an issue with Valhalla because they are releasing things for Valhalla close enough to where you're not, at least for me personally, you're not in in lack of wanting something else, because I knew right away looking at the River Raids map that there had to be more, because you're only talking about like the southwest of England, that the locations were the three rivers that you were able to play on, or after you had finished the entirety of it, you would have had three of them that you can jump back and forth between. So that left the rest of the map open for potentially more, and they've announced now that they're going to release more river raid missions, which is great. I enjoyed them because I didn't really have to worry too much about story. It was really just get in there, destroy a bunch of stuff, grab some stuff, get out, move on to the next one, and that's good for that sit down and play it for a couple minutes instead of having to sit down for hours on end. Even though that's normally what I do, is I play like in a big chunk of time. Um, but I think that's great. The mastery challenges that kept me busy for a couple of days because I had to replay the levels to get the golds, especially because I think Odin's mine was Odin's mine or something like that. Um, the archery challenge, you had to have a perfect run through where you had to get every single weak point, every single headshot, um, on all of the enemies, including one of the the big shield guys that has the full body shield, and the spears. I forget their enemy name, but that kept me busy to where I wasn't worried about playing something else or doing anything else. And then now that I have caught up, and I'm waiting for Siege of Paris or whatever the next, even if it's just a little like, hey, we put in a couple more swords, go ahead and go get it, or hey, we put in an extra. just a little side mission. I can dive in there, play that real quick, or just decide I'm gonna wait and I'll play it when I play Siege of Paris, because that's the guaranteed next time that I'm gonna get back to Valhalla. Um, and until then, I've got other Assassin's Creed titles to play to keep me busy. And I already have them all, so the need of having a bonus one, like you had noted with Assassin's Creed 3 with Odyssey, I don't really see is necessary at this point. If they had delayed it any farther, then it would be nice to have something. But in all honesty, what would they offer us at this point? Rogue Remastered, you know? I don't think they would give Syndicate or Unity, uh, but the games are normally already on sale for such a great price that they're very easy to purchase all at once. And that bonus, oh, that's cool that I have it, but I've already got 3 copies.
I think for me, I was hoping because it's technically the only AC to never be remastered, and that's AC1.
Right.
I was hoping after 14 years of a game that Valhalla Season Pass would be like, hey, here's Assassin's Creed 1 remastered, you know.
Hmm.
You can get Ezio Collection, you can get Rogue remastered. Last year we got
Hmm.
3 remastered. It's like, give us one remastered
Yeah.
finally. So I was disappointed that it wasn't there as a reveal because Assassin's Creed 3 for the Season Pass was the driving point to hit the Season Pass for me because I wanted to replay Assassin's Creed 3.
Hmm.
But the drive for Valhalla Season Pass wasn't there because I did like Wrath of Druids and Siege of Paris. The idea sounded good, and I've loved playing Wrath of Druids.
Hmm.
But the free content stood out, holiday content, which it may be repetitive, but for an hour or 2 hours a night that I play, having little drunk brawl challenges at Christmas was the best thing ever. It was a giggle, it wasn't
Hmm.
too serious. And then I've skipped River Raids because I don't like the River Raid system. Like, I just don't like that I have to have somebody there to open a chest.
Yeah, and I felt that way with Wrath of the Druids when you hit those small camps that had one like loot chest or wealth chest. I felt that was a little out of place. I was like, "Oh, great. Okay, I've cleared this camp by myself. I've got one treasure. I've got to call my group." So, you start that raid after you've already emptied the place and open that one chest, and then you bolt off to another direction and just leave them there. I felt that was a bit unnecessary, but s- seeing how the whole river raid portion was about going Viking, which if you've read Gearman Saga, or even just reading the information in the codex about the Vikings themselves, that's what they did. That's how they got their wealth and everything. And I thought that was enjoyable because while we do have raids in the main game, they're they're few and far between, and while you can go back and re-raid the place, you can't get the treasure again. Whereas with the river raid, every single time you played, even if it's the same river, after a bit, because you did have to at least do one or two other raids before you came back to that river for it to respawn the loot. Or else, coming back, you would find that the camp is still burned down to the ground, or the monastery doesn't really have any treasure, but it may still have a few soldiers. Um, if you continuously went, location one, location two, location three, and back to location one, and just kept repeating it, even though it is repetitive, especially if you're hitting the same camps each time, which I normally would be able to hit 3 or 4 major camps before I started either running out of space for uh, my capacity of loot, or my Vikings would be destroyed because I wasn't hiring level 3 Vikings or even level 2 Vikings. I was still sticking with the level 1s because I thought they were supposed to level up on their own, learning later that yours will level up, um, but the other ones have to level up based off of whoever played them. Um, but that kept it fresh to, or not fresh, but that kept it rewarding that yes, I'm doing the same level over and over again, but I'm still getting that loot. I'm still getting towards buying that new armor set, and then once you finish the River Raid quest line and you get St. George's armor and you purchase everything from the shop, the Yorm's Viking that's hosting the shop there for the River Raid, he's like, "Oh yeah, I've got one more armor set for you," and it's like, Let me hit the river again. I got to go get the loot to get this one now," which I think came out to, I don't remember how many. It's like 450 pieces of uh material that you had to gather to get one armor piece. So you're talking an easy like 5 to 6 raids in addition to what you were going for decorations and tattoos and other stuff like that.
I think you're really selling me to actually go back and play it.
It's enjoyable, but you have to look at it for what it is. It's especially, and I don't know if you've had a chance to read it. I would highly recommend it. Gearman Saga, um, the novel that came out alongside of the game. Um, it really gets you into that Viking life. There's no assassins, there's no Templars, there's no modern day. It's just Vikings raiding buildings and cheering after they've slaughtered everybody, burned down all the buildings, and gathered all the loot, and hearing Eivor just like, all right, let's go on to the next one, back to the boat. We got more stuff to steal. It's enjoyable for that
I
reason.
I do have Gearman Saga on my on the Kindle app because I did pre-order it the first day it was announced, but
Hmm.
I don't like reading off Kindles, so I'm gonna have to buy it in paper. But at the
Hmm.
moment, I am slogging through the Game of Thrones series,
Hmm.
so I'm stuck on books.
Yeah,
But
I found Gearman Saga to be extremely enjoyable. It read very well. It took me maybe a week or two to finish it just because I would read at nights. And I focus on one piece of transmedia at a time. So I did Valhalla, I read Gearman Saga, I went back and did the DLCs for Valhalla, and recently, I think just last night, I finished the third book of The Last Descendants, which also took place during the Viking Age in Sweden, around Harold Bluetooth and the battle of I don't remember the name of the town, but there was a battle that took place that was it was a great book as well, even though it was a young adult novel.
yeah, after I read the first 16 chapters of the Gearman Saga, I saw that Matthew Kirby did do The Last Descendants. I've only read the
Hmm.
first one, but I have a lot of transmedia to cover. I'm far
Yeah,
behind.
there's a lot of it.
But with the River Raid, I think what put me off the most is when it first launched, I had a bug where my teammates, even if I had all the doors open or the chest was in public, they wouldn't open the chest.
Hmm.
And it was just literally like, you know what? I've tried for 4 hours to get you to open one chest. I'm quitting. I'm never coming back. And I haven't touched it since. But it does seem there's a lot more complexity, more depth to it, which kind of looking at Odyssey's roadmap makes it kind of more fulfilling than a single DLC story.
Hmm.
Well, because it's a full fledged game mode with a lot of depths and rewards to it. So it's not just simple do a mission, get a story, go back. So even if we're not getting as many as Odyssey, we're getting deeper mechanics and more game modes that could be enjoyable.
Hmm. I will say on the single mission ones, so we had the what was it, Way of the Berserker.
Yeah, I
Um,
haven't done that one yet either. I don't know how to start it.
you will find him. You'll find him in his private camp. He's got his bear with him, the one that you see on the cover arts for the DLC. And I believe it's a couple of missions. It was a very enjoyable story. I'm not going to speak further on it because I don't want to spoil anything for you, but it felt like a good side mission. That, if I'm not mistaken, that was a pre-order bonus, correct? Or was
Uh,
it the Beowulf that was the pre-order?
I think both were pre-order bonus, but they're now
Okay.
both on Ubisoft Connect. But I can't remember.
The Beowulf one I found to be more disappointing because getting to like the starting missions to get to Grendel were were good because you had your platforming and stuff like that. Um, but the conclusion of it, and I'm not sure if you've played it or not, so I don't want to speak too far into it. The conclusion I felt was lacking. I wanted to see more. I connected with the character, but I felt like that's it. Like I finished it and I was like, okay, what am I expecting? I'm expecting werewolf level kind of fights. Which, funny enough, I killed a werewolf before even knowing I was fighting one when I was in Ireland because I was looking at my codex. It's like, oh, hey, you've got a new entry. And I went and looked and said werewolf. I was like, where was a werewolf? Because I just killed a bunch of druids. I didn't kill the werewolf. I think I killed him before he transformed and didn't notice it.
Yeah, I think the wells are fantastic because there's actually a codex page in the wild from one of the children of Danu that says it's the mist that causes werewolves. It's really
Right.
cool that it's grounded in its own law.
Right. Yeah, I
Um,
thought they were great, and I found that the children of Danu, especially when you're fighting in the gases, um, I found them to be a great challenge because I'm fairly certain that my difficulty level is set to normal. Actually, I don't even remember if there is a difficulty in level right now. I know they just announced that you can scale the leveling for the enemies soon with the next update, but I found them to be challenging. Like I would have to try to take out as many druids as I could before the werewolf got to me because every time I would turn to hit the werewolf, he would grab me and then throw me across the screen, and I'd have to run back and try to get to him. And then there's that one type of druid that have the shield, and uh, they held that shield, strong. I could not get behind them fast enough because they kept turning every time I tried to hit them, and I think eventually I just started um, shooting them with my bows just to stagger them, and then came in and would kill them.
I found that mist forced me to play more stealth because, as you said, with the whole mist affecting your screen, making it a
Hmm.
bit more hazy, they were challenging because it blocked your hindsight. So
Right.
it's best to go stealth.
I also found that my poison didn't work in those gases, which was kind of disappointing. Uh, but my fire still did. So I would just try to burn everybody or hit them next to the
Burn.
oil barrels or urns.
So that brings us on to Mastery Challenge.
Yes.
This is a game one that I've actually loved, but so far have wanted to throw my control out the window so many times just to get
Yes.
all the objectives just for gold. Like
Hmm.
the first ever Raven challenge, and I thought it's gonna be up my alley. I played the game and only did Raven and Wolf till I got
Hmm.
everything, and then I went onto the bear tree. So I thought I should nail this, and I didn't. I
Yep.
failed a lot.
Yeah. When I had started, I so the first location that she gave you, I got the golds on all three. The Raven one was the easiest, and I very much enjoyed the Raven one because that felt like the typical Assassin's Creed. You had your stealth. There was more hidden blades. There was more having to cause distractions. If I'm not mistaken, in that first one, there is one of the one of Albert's men that is in a small room. His back is facing you, um, but you have another enemy that is kind of looking through the doorway off to the right, where if you were to try to sneak up on one of them, the other one would see you. And so you would have to take out the one to the right first. And then what I would do, because I didn't want to be seen, is I would climb up, shoot an arrow into the ground close enough to him to where he would turn and look, and then I would air assassinate him. And I felt that was great because I had to keep thinking on my feet and I had to move fast in some of them because it's like I have to kill you before this guy who's got maybe like a 3 second, pause period where he stops, stretches his arms, and then turns around. I've got to kill you and make sure you fall the right direction before he turns around and sees me, or I'm going to have to redo this entire thing again. Um, but I found that The bear challenges definitely gave a challenge, and I think it gave me a way of testing out my abilities more. But the wolf challenge, I think, was the ones that caused me the most problem with the archery because you had to have almost perfect run throughs on all of them. Yeah, but it was all enjoyable. But I completely agree. I had plenty of times that I wanted to break my controller and ended up just rage quitting, and then noticed that to progress for the story I only needed to have bronze on all of the missions. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna finish the story, and then I'll come back after I've cooled off a little bit and try to get these silvers and golds again. And maybe after like a day's break or something like that, I'd come back and like gold every single one of them, and it's like, okay, great, I just needed that break.
I think that's what the great thing about the mastery challenge is. It's why I say it's one of the best post-launch modes. Is there's going to be some that will play to individual strength and some that will not. As I played stealth with archery all the way through, Wolf and Raven was so easy for me. Even though the first one you had to do a little bit more tricks to it, like set everyone on fire just to get
Right.
accidental kills. But when I got to Bear and it's like use a hammer, and I'm like, I've never used a hammer.
Hmm.
It's so hard to get used to the weight of the hammer and its swinging and its motion. I think that's what makes it more challenging. You have to adapt to abilities
Hmm.
in gear instead of taking your own. And it's annoying because I hate hammers now. I will never go out and use a hammer
Right.
because of the bear challenge, and I'm really scared if there's a spear challenge because I hate spears. So I'm trying to avoid bear.
Spears are actually extremely fun. I don't remember who it was, but somebody on Twitter had showed gameplay of playing with dual wielded spears, and I tried it out, and it was amazing. I had one of the Isu Tech spears, and then a regular one, and that was just so fun to play. And I would say the reason why I guess I found the bear ones to be easier, definitely when it comes to the gear sets or the proprietary gear sets, is I would do the Ubi Connect challenges to try to get more of the unlockable gear and stuff, which I'm still trying to unlock a lot of it. But I've just run out of bigger missions that give more experience because I think my level on that application is like 21 or 22, so it takes a bit for me to level up to get the extra coins to get, like, I still haven't unlocked Bayek's outfit or the the bow, the Egyptian bow that they give you the option of getting. So, but every week it'd be like, okay, get 50 kills with a shield, get 50 kills with a heavy shield, get 50 kills with a flail. And it's like, okay, great. So I'm going to play around with this for maybe an hour and just kill everybody that gets in my way. And that's another, if you haven't tried it yet, dual wielding shields, and either whether they be regular shields or the larger shields. That's extremely enjoyable, especially when it comes to the execution moves at the end, because it feels almost Captain America ish, but with a Viking. And unfortunately, they don't have a shield throw ability. Maybe they will in the future, but just slamming that shield down like Captain America did on Iron Man was a great feeling.
I think if we're on about abilities, it's more prominent in one of the Raven challenges of London. Is enemy placement in Valhalla is very awkward. There's some like two people together and you've got to
Hmm.
wait for them to move. We need a double assassination. Like a double
Yes, yes,
assassination would make a lot of the mastery challenge stealths a lot more easier and a lot more enjoyable.
yes. I miss the double assassinations, but that falls into the lore because Avor doesn't want to be an assassin. She doesn't care. She loves the weapon. She finds it useful. It's a great gift, but that's all it's going to be to her. That weapon has absolutely no meaning to her whatsoever. And I think that was great for her character because um, it kept her true to who she was as a person. Yes, she did have some adaptation and stuff, but while I miss the double assassination, I would love to see something, I guess, a way of doing it to where maybe she could fire off two arrows at the same time and, kill, or even the quick shot like they had in Odyssey where you could, target a couple people and then just fire off all at the same time. Which actually is that ability? That may actually be an ability. Yeah, that is an ability in Valhalla, um, where you can target like I think up to like 6 or 7 people at once, and as long as you have the stamina, you'll continue to pull down their health before you let go and execute that move and end up clearing like an entire church.
I have to look into that. I know when I spoke to a friend, we were discussing Arno from Unity, who had the hidden blade and a dagger, and we were thinking, as Eivor carries a ceremonial axe on a belt that she uses for avenge missions, you
Yes.
could have it where she stabs someone with a hidden blade and uses the ceremonial axe on her back to do a second assassination. She already uses it to throw as a chain, so it wouldn't really be unbelievable of her character if she jumped on someone, stabbed them in the neck, and used the axe to get rid of the second person.
That
That
sounds
would,
very similar to how Connor did it with his hatchet.
yes, that would actually work, and it would fit with Eivor because Eivor's not relying on the hidden blade per se. She's relying on both her tools as a Viking, so the axe, but
Hmm.
also the hidden blade. So the hidden blade becomes more of an extension for
Hmm.
her instead of just I need two of them. I could use half of mine and half of the assassins.
Right. Yeah, that would be a great option. But I think that would also bring into the AI of the enemies because they do group together at times, but they have such a focus in Valhalla that I've noticed. Because in my current run, because I'm playing the games in order of genetic memory, so when they took place, not in the modern time, but in the actual Animus, and I've noticed that in the RPG trilogy, there is a huge focus on fire barrels. Um, they were all over Egypt. Um, they were pretty reoccurring in Greece, but in Valhalla, it's like every time I'm looking at a camp, I'm like, okay, where's the fire barrel? There it is. Pop that off to distract them, and then I'm gonna get in there and start just slashing. And the lack of stealth I find okay because while the story missions, oh, let's have one person go in there and unlock the doors or drop the gate or take out this one person, that's perfectly fine, but I find it much more satisfying to just have that wave of 9 people rushing in at the same time and just wrecking shop.
What I found with stealth is, and I actually got taught this in a Discord server. I didn't know this. There's a lot of overhanging crates like Syndicate that you can
Hmm.
shoot, but there's also bags of flour in certain towns that you can shoot bags of flour and it'll create a dust cloud that
And
you
then you
could
can
just
light it on fire.
no, you could just run in and assassinate them stealthily.
Ah,
It's like a smoke bomb.
right. I
But
saw your video with the assassinations you did with the smoke arrow. And I was like, you know what? I never thought of doing that. I'm so just gung ho on rushing in and just hitting people, and then I drop poison a lot because that's
also,
great area of effect damage. But a lot of people were excited for the smoke arrow, but I didn't find that I used it very much. I used the other three all the time. Oh, actually, I used poison and explosion. I didn't use sleep at all, except for the one mastery mission that required it.
I use sleep, poison. I've got a bow that puts traps on people as a predator bow,
Right.
and smoke arrow. Just because I found range in this game is just a ton of fun for clearing camps. Just
Hmm.
headshot all of them, shoot a guy, lay him a trap, drop a smoke bomb, sneak in, stabby stabby, go home. It is just. I mean, this is like, and because a lot of the camps have open-ended paths like hedges,
Right.
it just makes it more funny just to pop your head out, drop a smoke bomb, run out, stab, jump back in the hedge, and I was like, oh, what happened here? I'm like, well, someone dropped a smoke bomb. Go have a look.
I found it funny in Ireland. I kind of cheesed some of the king's missions with the little birdhouses where they're like, no unnecessary kills. And I learned that if you're outside of the the radius of that little mission, you could still kill people with your bow and arrow and not lose the bonus for no unnecessary kill. So I would kill everybody from like up on a mountain and just like aim my arrow and make sure that it would like hit. And then I would go in and kill the one person that needed to be killed and still get the bonus, even though nobody else would be fighting me.
You, sir, have literally just saved my bacon. Like, I need to try this because I rage quit that it sent me to a raid location to
Hmm.
kill one person with no unnecessary kills,
Right.
and I couldn't work out how to do it because it was a pickpocket style mission. But knowing that if I stay out the radius with a predator bow, I should be
Hmm.
good.
Yeah, you should be fine. Now I know there's one of the first pickpocketing ones because it's always for that jewelry piece. The one that was in Dublin was the easiest because it's like, okay, I need to figure out where the enemy is, because with most camps you can get in from any side except for that one city at the very south of England, that has like the one exit way, close to London. I forget the name of it, but in the Ireland missions, it's like, okay, you're on that side, so I'm gonna just walk around town until I get to where you're near me, and then I'm gonna see where you are there and try to find it. And I found that the person I needed to pickpocket was outside of a window, so I walked into the building, hopped through the window, grabbed the jewelry, turned around, walked back into the building, and just exited the area, and it was complete. And then in other ones, I think there was one in a monastery, where I needed to pickpocket one. Um, I I would get into a bush and just keep whistling, spamming the whistle until they came near me. And if anybody else besides them came, I would just back away. Um, until they walked off, or leave them there and circle around to another nearby bush and whistle to get the other guy to come to me, and then either put him down and take it and just take the hit on doing it with no unnecessary kills, because I found the bonus for completing these with meeting all of the criteria wasn't big enough to actually matter, because the amount of loot that you get from your trading posts fulfilled everything. I mean, I would come and I forget the character's name. I would come and talk to the trading post character, and they'd be like, "Okay, yeah, you've got like 300 pieces of everything in the chest. Grab that, buy everything that I can from her or from them, um, and then just move on." So I was like, "Okay, so the while it is a challenge and it does kind of bring you back to those little check boxes to get the 100% on things like Assassin's Creed 3 and whatnot, I found that you weren't dinged for not doing it. Yes, you wouldn't get like maybe 10 extra uh, delicacies or something like that. But I was like, it doesn't matter because I'm getting all of my trading goods come in more, and they come in fast because you get, what is it, like 10 to 20 pieces for every minute that you're playing. So it's like in an hour I've got 210 pieces or 220 or whatever. And I don't really care about the other missions. The only time I played them is when the king would say, I need you to show the other kings that uh you're worth being in their area. So it's like, okay, cool, I'll go do like 3 or 4 of these, and then there you go, I'm done.
So the last thing to talk about before we go into the an hour mark is how do you think free content could be improved, or should it be improved for the rest of Valhalla and the future?
So I know, so far, looking at what we have versus what's coming in, we're supposed to get more river raids, which that makes sense. I think that they should definitely have some good benefits for playing those, because I know that they're probably going to be adding in a new armor set or something like that. Maybe they'll add in a little bit of story, even though the river raids didn't seem to have a huge story outside of finding St. George's armor. Um, the mastery challenge, they haven't said anything yet, but they left us on a bit of what's going to happen next with the completion of the mastery challenge. We've got something in play now that I want to see what happens with it. But what I find, what I think about when I think about that is the whole point of you doing the mastery challenges was so that you could train to show that you were worthy to find what was at the end of the mastery challenge storyline. But there's no reason to train anymore if you already have it. So what are they going to do with that? Are they going to do another set of mastery challenges that maybe help power up the thing, or are they going to just bring that into a different aspect like one of the DLCs? And then at that point, do you have to do the mastery challenge so that you can actually see that part of the DLC? Which I don't think they would do that. I feel like that would be too much of an ask. But who knows? Um, and then the last bit is, what was the other part that they had talked about? Um, I can't think of what it was, but I look at the festivals. I did the Easter one. I missed the Yule festival because I wasn't playing the game at that time. But my curiosity comes down to, especially since we're experiencing a year two of Valhalla, they're going to bring the Yule Festival back. Are they going to offer the same items that they did in the previous year? And plus a little bit more? Are they going to be completely different items? Have I missed out on getting what was released in the Christmas, decorations and stuff like that? Because I would be disappointed, but in all honesty, it wouldn't really matter too much. But I've always been somebody who I want to try to have everything. And I find that's why I will jump on and do the missions to get the opals so that I can buy the premium gear and whatnot, because it's like you get 35 opals a week, or I'm sorry, you get 35 opals a day for the first day of the week, and then you get an extra 10 opals. So what is that like? You get like 100 opals or something like that a week, and that's rough math. That may not even be accurate. It may be closer to like 80, but you get a decent amount. So it's like every 3 or 4 weeks you have enough opals to buy, 2 or 3 pieces, which is great, and it's a good way of coming in and playing, and then hunting down the ones. And I would like to see more with that, where it's like, yes, we want you to buy our premium gear, but let's make it to where if you can at least get all of the other items, you'll feel, because I'm looking at mine. I've got almost all of the pieces for the Gothic set, and it's like if I can get at least one more piece, I can use the free currency that they gave me from the season pass, the Helix credits, to buy the last piece that I need and not have to spend $20 on an outfit. I don't have to drop anything. Um, so that's what I could see with that. Outside of that, I would like to maybe see like some small missions added in, just like a small story. Um, but I feel like the focus is going to be more around the main DLCs. And there, that's what it was that I was trying to remember. Helheim is coming up, or Musselheim. Uh, Odin's story. So we have that coming, and I think that's great because I found those areas, especially Jotunheim. I found those to be so great, because it was a huge map, very reminiscent of the Atlantis DLC for Odyssey. Uh, I want to see more of that because I feel like it gives a good, 10 plus hours of gameplay if you're doing everything, and it builds out that lore, because there's still a lot of stuff that they haven't covered for the story of Odin and Loki and everything like that. And I've seen so much more just reading the transmedia, um, covering that. You know, they talk about it in Gearman Saga. They talk about it in the Last Descendants. You know, just a little bit, but enough to where it's like I want more of that. I want more of the Viking stuff. So as long as they're providing that, and that's why I'm excited for Siege of Paris because we get more Viking storyline. I want more of that because that's what I've enjoyed the most out of this Assassin's Creed is the environments. The Assassin's story is always great, but that's an overlining and having a character that is very obviously, and they she says it herself, I don't care about what's going on with yours. You need me to take care of these people, I'll do it for you as a friend. So I have your alliance because that's what matters in with her people is friendships and alliances and stuff like that. um but you know, throwing in something random, you know, like oh, let's add in a modern day section, you know, which I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing a post game modern day, you know, little add on, but I feel like it would be a little bit out of place and it would probably be more useful in a new game. So but that's what I think about where we're looking at coming up and what I would want to see.
Just to touch upon the Yuletide Festival, I think things would get complicated because a month or two after the Yuletide Festival, there was a God reward that was given for free, which
Hmm.
had all of the Yuletide systems rewards for free, plus Altair's outfit for free as well. So,
Okay, so I probably do have everything and I just don't recognize it.
so rehashing everything would be really unfair. So it would
Right.
have to be a new loophole, but then it keeps up the system of FOMO, which is fear of missing out. So you've
Right,
got to
and
make
that's what
sure.
I was worried about.
So if they are redoing content every year until Valhalla is not um, supported anymore, you need to make sure that the content isn't missing out for new players who are joining in later in stage.
Right.
You touched upon River Raids being the Viking feel, and that's what a lot of the content is. But I feel that Hytham should be the next part of the free content with assassin contracts,
Hmm.
because then it would make sense that River Raids is the Vikings,
Right.
Mastery Challenge is your skill tree and everything Avos work towards,
Right.
and you've helped Hytham do all the Order of Ancients missions, so why can't he be the next free contact? You do mini singular missions all over the map of Ireland, Norway, and
Hmm.
England. It would
Yeah.
flesh out. I think actually cancel Ireland because it'd be unfair to do a free content if not everyone has a DLC. So free assassin contracts over Ireland and Norway and England will be a great way to get people to replay and do assassin stuff that they want. You know, single missions, find a target, scope them out, Hitman style.
Yeah,
So
yeah. No, and that would be great. And it doesn't even have to be in Ireland or England. They could take Hytham to a small, you know, map, like kind of like what we do with Odin, and be like, you know, Hytham leaves a letter for Eivor. You know, I've got something I've got to follow up on. I'll be back, and then you get to see, you know, Hytham take over, or even Eivor takes Hytham there, and then Eivor leaves, and you're thinking, oh, okay, well, what's happening with Hytham? And then the camera turns to Hytham, and you're playing as him now. You know, that would be a great thing to do, and that would keep the assassins alive because um, he. I'm trying not to spoil things for the book. Um, characters in the book cross with characters from the game. I'll leave it at that. So there is an opportunity for the story to verge off, or at least characters to verge off. Because if you think about it, we had the blacksmith take off, and that was an entire um, area of the game. You know, purposed with him in finding his wife. So it could easily be like, oh yeah, I found that um, somebody in Svetland, you know, Sweden, um, is uh, is talking about the order or something like that. I'm gonna go check it out, and then they send Hytham to Svetland, and he goes and does a few little mini missions that maybe feed into the transmedia. And that's another thing. We have the graphic novel coming out, and they noted in the description it's a Christian monk and an assassin. So that could lead into that. And give you, it's like, oh, that was a cool little mission. What happens next? Go read the comic. Oh, okay, cool.
And that actually will swing nicely onto the final topic I want to raise, Assassin's Creed Infinite. I don't want to spend
Yes.
too much time because it's so up in the air and it's not noticeable what's happening. But we do know it's a hub world. I think it's going to be based off Yggdrasil, the world tree, as
Hmm.
simulation. And you actually thought about something that I thought for ages, but I kind of thought more towards Netflix with the TV series. But your way may be better, and that is with the Infinity post-launch free single games that is based on connections towards transmedia.
Right.
I know my friend who does Visions of the Past talked about um, Assassin's Creed Infinite having a hub-based system that helped you find different transmedia in one single location, and it could all tie in. It could actually be free content that ties into The Last Descendants. So you play a game version of one of the missions in Last Descendants, and to play more, you can go and find the book,
Yeah.
which isn't a bad thing because you're not spending money on DLC to be then to go buy a book. But that if you play that free content, you could get a code that could give you a discount on Amazon or something for the book. So
Yeah.
it could help people discover transmedia by playing sections of a comic, of a book, and it'll also give people who can't always read the transmedia due to locations a way
Hmm.
to experience them, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No, it does. It does. Yeah. My thoughts on Infinity is that I think about Ubi Connect and how it has missions and stuff like that, and there's a little bit of a community on there, but it's got like weekly kind of challenges and stuff. So I see that being some kind of part into Infinity, whether it be just like weekly and daily missions, and then having it be to what the universal term of transmedia being is that, like, if you read all of this here, you're hitting every single nook and cranny, but it's all kind of tied into that main story. Because for example, on The Last Descendants, it wasn't until I got to the end of the book that they had or that I remember reading that the Victoria, which is one of the characters in the Last Descendant series, is Victoria Babo, which is the doctor from Odyssey and Origins, and I didn't realize that right off, right at the start of the book, and I was like, "Oh, it's Victoria," and I was like, "Oh, that's great! I'm getting to learn more about her," and I didn't even realize that I was reading about her. Um, until I got to the end of the book, and I was like, "Oh, that's great," because I remember seeing her character in the story, and it's like, okay, well, now I've got this character that I had only seen bits and pieces of from Odyssey and Origins, or I guess technically you'd want to flip it the other way, Origins and Odyssey. I played Odyssey first, that's why I keep stating it that way, but um, getting to see her more fleshed out. So that as that hub kind of thought is a great thing. So it could be, very similar to how the Assassin's Creed wiki works. Let's say you find a codex page on a assassin, and it just notes everything that they're in. So it's like, oh, Edward Kenway, Assassin's Creed Black Flag for for Assassin's Creed, Black Flag web comic, Assassin's Creed uh, Blackbeard's journal. They could list, in the footnotes all of the different pieces, or even reference, oh, in 1987 so and so did this, and then put like the little footnote, see Assassin's Creed Encyclopedia, and give you a way of wanting, oh, I want to know more about that. I keep seeing that book's mentioned. Let me go and find that book, and they're not. hard to find. I mean, I found all of them within about a month's time, and outside of a few ones that are exclusive to Europe. But I'm not worried about Infinity. I'm excited. I like the idea of there being some kind of centralized hub, but we still have our standalone game. So what I expect it to be is, here's the new Assassin's Creed title. It's your typical, um, you know, 60 100 hour game with just like, let's say, Valhalla 2 as a, just a bad example. But on top of that, you'll be able to, in the modern world, access data from previous games, so you can continue to, say, solve puzzles or do stuff like that. So it's like, for you to progress in, say, the modern timeline, you have to go into different ancestors and find the missing pieces. So it's like, go into this game and get the information, very similar to how Layla did. I mean, I guess that's what it would be. Is it would be a game where you play as a assassin or a Templar. Maybe you'll get to choose, and then you have to go into the different individual, quote unquote, games or genetic memories, and find what you need so that you can progress the infinity timeline. Um, but you're still enjoying that. So it's like, yeah, go in there, play the game. If that's all you want to do, that's all you have to do. Maybe you don't have to play them all for you to enjoy it, because they each stand alone as their own title. But if you want to get that over, you know, that over, arcing storyline, you'll want to kind of touch everything.
That's got me actually excited if they did that. I think I would love to play Infinity and get notes for transmedia, because I have them all bookmarked on Amazon, but it'd be nice to get like little references. I didn't get the Last Descendants reference to Victoria till I think it was last year. Someone mentioned it, and I was like, oh, I did not know this. But
Hmm.
it would be nice, especially with how Origins and Odyssey's time gap apparently is explained through transmedia with Charlotte de Cruz.
Hmm.
It would be nice to get like a little backstory on that through free content. A free is
Hmm.
the hub world. Play this mission called The In Between, which is what happened between Origins and Odyssey with Charlotte
Right.
Cruz. It'd be a great transmedia connection, but a great
It
way to
would.
say this is the law. Let's flesh out and give a unified experience that everybody's been asking for.
Right. And I think about what they noted when they brought up or when they launched the transmedia websites, because I followed it. I would check it on occasion, and more recently, because I didn't realize that I have the Great Britain site uh, as my homepage. I thought it was just an overall one, but apparently the site that Great Britain has is different than the site that the U.S. has, where it doesn't have all of the books listed, because we didn't get everything in the United States. Um, the novels and stuff, we got all of that, but some of the spin-off items, like, you can actually get the discovery missions for Odyssey and Origins in a book form, um, and which I plan on getting at some point in the future, because I love having all of that stuff, and it would be great to be able to go back and reference that without having to pull out the video game, walk over to the area and say, okay, what was it they were saying about beer in Egypt, and just pulling out that book and looking at it. That would be great. Um, but I noticed that it had updated on it, and shown all of the previous content. And then I tagged everybody in it on Twitter and said, hey, I don't know if y'all saw this yet, but they updated the transmedia site. And apparently nobody else had seen it yet. So that was kind of cool. But it's a great reference for all of the transmedia, so you can find out, okay, this is everything if I want to have a good understanding of Assassin's Creed. And I spent, in my first month, I spent a long time building a spreadsheet of all of the transmedia using the Assassin's Creed wiki, um, and building out a timeline and how to consume it. And I'm like, okay, so Odyssey is the oldest one. I'm starting with that. After I finished Odyssey, I looked at the art book, I read the novelization, I did the DLC, I listened to the soundtracks, I read the Monsieur Madame book, which was hilarious. um, for Cassandra, and knowing the ending of Odyssey, and how that fed into, for me, and it worked perfectly. Seeing the ending of the DLC for uh, the First Blade made me feel that what I was doing, playing them in order of genetic memory and not in order of release, was validated because it led into Origins, and I'm like, oh my god, that's where I'm going next. So I'm like, okay, well, what happened with the Origins kid? That's Aya's, ancestor, and it's like, there I go, and now that fed into Origins. Then Layla carried that over into Valhalla, because at that point I'm now playing them in order. I've played the third game in the third place, um, and then that leads into the Last Descendants, which continues, like, I think it was like maybe 100 years after Eivor's story is uh, Svetnjor, or whatever his name is, and Harold Bluetooth, and then from there, it skips a little bit and it goes to the Third Crusade, where I am right now. So I'm actually playing Altair's Chronicles. I'm gonna play the first game after that, play Bloodlines after that, read the Secret Crusade, I think was the name of the book, Altair's book. And then from there, diving into Ezio, and you've got, there's so much transmedia, and if you put it in order of how it actually progresses, watching um, I forget the Assassin's Creed lineage, watching that before you play Assassin's Creed 2, and then reading the Assassin's Creed 2 novelization after you play the game, so you can get all those little tidbits, it opens up the entire universe, um, more, to where you're not missing any kind of detail. And then if you want to reference, go get the encyclopedias. I've got both versions of the Essential Guide, and I've got two of the three versions of the encyclopedia, and it's like I can go back, and now when I'm reading about the Templar Order, or the instruments uh, of the first, I forget the name, um,
First will.
the first will. Thank you. Instruments of the First Will. I now know about that stuff because I know, at least one or two members of that group now that I've, consumed what I have so far. And I've played some of the games already. Like, I've played four, I've played three, but it's been so long ago that, like, I'm excited to hit the Kenway Saga, and play those, and then get to play Liberation for the first time. But actually playing them in order of when the gameplay takes place helps build the lore, the actual age of whatever historical event you're in. And for me, at least, it's helped me respect the content more, to where when they do release Infinity, I can actually look at it with a smarter eye and say, okay, they're doing what I've come to know, which is have a historical location, have a interesting enough modern day story, because that's where they really get to do whatever they want to do, because at that point you've got historical fiction, um, and then move into community, transmedia, interactions on, world missions through Ubi Connect, getting 50,000 assassinations with all the players so that you can get a reward or something, and then expanding on the Isu, which is also their way of just doing historical fiction. And that's what makes it great. I'm learning things about the actual eras that we're playing in, but then I'm getting to see how they move. Now, if they go and screw up the narrative um, for the assassins or the Templars or the Isu, yeah, I'll be disappointed. But they can't screw up the historical part because it's already happened. You can't just make a lie and say, "Oh yeah, Eivor, died here," when Eivor actually died there, or one of the other characters, because I think Eivor is actually based off of a actual person, but it was a person that didn't really have a lot of knowledge about. So they were like, okay, we can use this as we can build a character around what we know about this person, or stuff like that. So that's what I'm hoping to see, to where if you want to, you can go into that transmedia and actually explore and enjoy all of the nooks and crannies of the Assassin's Creed universe. But if you want to just stick to the main games, here's the latest Assassin's Creed game. We added in, you know, dogfights, or something like that, airplane dogfights, that is, because, at some point, I would think we're probably going to end up with a World War II game. Very similar to Assassin's Creed Conspiracies, which was the comic that took place in World War One.
So it could be then Assassin's Creed Infinite could be the hub game that unifies transmedia and content. So it can give people who have um, boundaries exclusive. So Europe only novels can be experienced in other countries. It's a
Right.
unified experience. So using that way free content for Infinity could be helped to unify transmedia, which would be the biggest benefit of the series, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, and really, on the transmedia, the only things that are really region locked, and they're not even region locked, because I can order something from anywhere in the world, as long as I can find it. Um, the only things that are really more exclusive to Europe, and France gets a lot of this stuff. I mean, right now, Assassin's Creed Dynasty, are getting close to releasing Volume 2, or they just released Volume 2 of Dynasty, and it's a 5-volume set. Um, that's getting released by Mana Books in France. We're not getting Volume 1 in the United States until January of next year. I've already got it pre-ordered, but surprisingly enough, next month we have. Well, actually, I think they have it all over the world, but Free Comic Book Day is coming up in August. It's a bit delayed from when it normally happens, because it usually happens in like March or May, but it's happening in August this year. And one of the comics that is being um, provided for the Free Comic Book Day is a preview of Assassin's Creed Dynasty and Assassin's Creed Blood Brothers, which is the next piece of transmedia that I expect to access for Valhalla, because it takes place before Valhalla. I'm going to get the preview comic when it comes out, but I'm fairly certain that at the end of this month, so here in a couple of days, or within week 1 or 2, Amazon is going to pull my pre-order and ship out the trade paperback, um, or I guess I would say the graphic novel, because it's not a trade, it's a one issue, but that's gonna come out, and I'll have that, be able to read that, get all of these actual stories, and I may actually need to go and look at the characters, because I think one of them I may have already experienced in um, thinking about it. I may have already experienced them in the Last Descendants. I think one of the brothers is, what is his name?
I can't remember. I haven't read The Last Descendant, so I've read the first one, but I do definitely need to read the last two.
What is his name? Let me
I
see.
can't
I'm
remember.
pulling it up now.
So this is what I do halfway through the show. I pull up. I have like 50 tabs up and just get all the knowledge
Okay,
correct.
no, it's the Stinson brothers, Ulf and Bjorn, who follow Ivar the Boneless in England. So it's like we get to see more Ivar, which Ivar was one of my favorite characters in Valhalla. Had such a
Oh,
great story, and if you haven't listened to it yet, Echoes of Valhalla on Spotify is a almost like History Channel audio. I say History Channel. I don't know if y'all have History Channel in Europe, but it's a historical, almost audio play um, that teaches you about the Viking Age, but it specifically follows Ivar the Boneless. And I was like, oh my god, this is great, because I'm getting to learn more about the actual character, and he was just my favorite character. So anything with Ivar in it, I'm down.
I'm gonna have to check that. But I think that's all we have time for tonight. We're nearly
Sounds
on
good.
an hour and 10 minutes. See, this is what happens when you get talking about the free content and more of Assassin's Creed. And I think there's a lot to go off. There's a lot of good content in Valhalla, and you can't compare it to Odyssey because it's done such a different way that it feels like it's more, but also feels less.
Right.
With Assassin's Creed Infinite, there's a lot of potential for free content to be added to unify transmedia and the games. So I hope that comes to pass. I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode, and if you want to be a guest, just reach out to me via email, Assassin's Creed Let's Talk at gmail.com, or Twitter, AC Let's Talk. I'm always hovering on Twitter these days. And there'll be a link in the description to follow Michael on Twitter as well. Just stalk him because I said so. And I'll see you all next week.